Now the table I made for the personnel in front of the Atlanta Falcons defense, and obviously the source of these tables, my notebooks I write on when I watch film and write what happened on every play and every detail on every play. Obviously nickel personnel with an over front 56.5% in the last game against Miami. Then it's nickel under 13, 3-4 over and under. I explained the difference between them. The percentage of them being in a nickel personnel is 69.5%. Percentage of them being in a 3-4 is 21.7. And there are more rare packages and other things like diamond 4-3. Those are 8.6%. But the main idea is here, you can see nickel is their identity. So, and to come with each of those personnels and fronts and everything, obviously there's base coverages. So they play a 4-3 or a 3-4 with a basic cover 1, cover 4 quarters, right? To come with the nickel defenses and are the match coverages, whether it's 3 match, middle field closed, and then they match, or cover 4 match. Include add-in blitzes and green dog blitzes. I'll explain it all. So I wanna talk about how I would attack this defense without bringing up my offensive identity and offensive plays. Obviously, I have a play sheet, but I can't really spill the beans here. So what I can say is, when I prepare to attack this Atlanta defense, the first thing I want to anchor is their structural DNA. So they're obviously nickel base front with roughly 68% nickel over and 16 nickel under, and limited snaps in 3-4 and 4-3 looks where they play base coverages. And their identity lives in nickel, which tells me that they want to handle spread spacing without sacrificing box integrity. So this defense prefers to fit the run structurally, not by flooding the box, but relying on coverage discipline behind it, right? And from a coverage standpoint, they lean on man matching rules and pattern match principles, primarily cover 1 variants in quarters or 3 match rules with fire zone structures mixed in on passing downs with those green dog pressures I talked about, with those add-ons and fire zones. And what I mean by that is green dog is a blitz where if the running back stays in protection and the linebacker who's responsible for him adds on to the rush. Remember, I explained this last week against Cleveland. And then also if the back releases on a route, then he plays coverage. So they don't want to waste bodies. That's the idea. That's the idea behind this blitz. And then add-ins or add-ons, which are second level defenders, which is basically when second level defenders add into pressure when their coverage assignment is blocking. So for example, a slot cornerback on the running back and the running back blocks, so they add into the blitz. Or it could be a one middle field closed and you have a strong safety responsible for. So what this basically means is you don't beat this defense with gimmick shots, as I explained when I talked about the offensive strengths and weaknesses, and you do beat them with making them miscommunicate, and as I said, kind of making them mess up, and try making them beat themselves because you know you're better than them as a New England Patriots team, whether it's from a coaching standpoint or a offensive standpoint or even a defensive standpoint. So my plan would be break match rules, use orbit motions, jet motions, and manipulate add-ins and green dogs. You want to punish that by having the running back be on a free release to force the linebacker to cover instead of add on, right? As well as chip release rules to delay green dogs in open middle windows. They can indeed green dog, but you want them to delay that so you can chip release, so you can have a tight end, for example, block and then go out, and that way you can delay the green dog blitzes. And obviously screens, running back delay screens, tight end screens to Hunter Henry, and obviously man structure when they live in cover 1. We want to attack leverage with, obviously, as I said, crossers, bunch and stack to create natural picks and forced communication errors, run to pass tempo. You want to move fast to lock their defense into base alignments, then shift motion right to create misfits. And then obviously how to answer the fire zones. The fire zones give us a 3 under and a 3 deep, and you want to flood their rules. So have, for example, slot seams replacing rotated safeties. Check down to a running back who goes into that area. Obviously, football 101, throw to where they blitz from, but against a defense that wants to stop your base concepts with structure, you must be disciplined in sequencing. So early downs, you establish horizontal control and force them to declare bodies in the box. Then on second and medium, for example, you attack match coverage with play action crossers and option routes from the number 2 receiver. And then third down, you, for example, expect man and pressure identifiers. You use motion to reveal compressed splits and quick stacks to win leverage. And then in the red zone, they match and compress windows, so you stack who you want to isolate and run, for example, a pivot whip or an angle route or a rub shallow, or for example tight end seams, off play action, something Caleb Williams did against the Cowboys. Those type of fire zones the Dallas Cowboys played in that game, and as well as things I talked about earlier, like controlling the spacing and doing things of that nature. I think this is a very winnable game for the New England Patriots. But let's get into the film, man.